The video review for Tobot, Galaxy Detectives, Regent, and Silverhawk, the Chinese versions. Okay, and here's a size comparison. So you can see they're much bigger than Voyager class figures, but they are about an inch smaller than their original versions. And then you can see they are about the same size as the small card-bought figures. Alright, and then we'll start with Regent, and you can see he got a pretty big downgrade as far as his paintwork goes. The original DX version, his gold plastic was actually very pretty and pearlescent, and now you can see it's just been degraded to brown plastic, so it doesn't really have that effect of having him all decked out in gold. The shield actually paint looks very good, and the gold trim actually is very nice looking. And then you can see his lance is black instead of being gold like the original version. And the other thing that he loses out on is having a cape made out of paper, so not that big a deal. But you can see his head sculpt still carries over a lot of that good detail. And then the other thing that's kind of as annoying is his shoulders are kind of just like crushed into this area. They needed like a little bit more outward motion to just click out a little bit. So his articulation is very limited, even compared to the original figure, which had weird articulation. He does not have head articulation at all, which is kind of a big deal. His shoulders do have this 360 kind of motion, but because they're so close to his chest, it's just going to be crashing into like his back pillars and his chest and other things, so that doesn't work out very well. He does have a full outward motion here, but again, it's going to be crashing into things. He does have an elbow joint, which has a little bit more than 90 degrees right there. So pretty solid elbow joint. And he does have like this weird transformation joint that lets him bend his arm backwards, but that's kind of pointless. He also does have his waist swivel, which is at a 45-degree angle, so it looks kind of strange. But you can probably get some interesting dynamic poses. He looks kind of like a zombie in this kind of pose, like his back is broken. He's got universal hips, so full forward kick, full side kick, and then most of a back kick. His back skirt is going to get in the way of that. And then he does have his knee joint in the proper place right here. So he actually does potentially have good articulation, but he's just missing some of those extra joints you need. Like he doesn't have the thigh swivel, he doesn't have a bicep swivel, which makes, and the original didn't have bicep swivel either, which was a real pain. So and then his lack of head articulation is a real disappointment too, because the original did have that. So he's gonna have to get fixed up a lot. And then his accessories are, he's got this cool little hood shield, which is very nicely detailed. It just has a basic tab on the back. And then he's got this lance, which also has very good details, but because it's all black, you can't really make it out. And then his hands, he actually can't hold it in his hands because his fists don't have holes anymore. So he actually cannot even hold his own lance, even though it has a post for just that. So kind of weird to include that. He can only hold it by pegging it into his wheel well, so he can basically hold it, I guess that counts. But yeah. Yeah, his proportions are kind of weird, especially because his odd transformation with these gigantic biceps. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that up, but I'm definitely going to give this guy some articulation. But not a bad stand-in if you can't get the original figure, which retails for like over $100 now. And you can see he's missing his hubcap gold details as well. So definitely missed out on the paint apps. But transformation is very simple. You're just going to bend his biceps all the way around and then connect that to basically his shoulders. So you can see once you've done that, the front end of his car is pretty much already done. And then you're going to just rotate his hips. And then you have this joint, which unfortunately doesn't work for an ab crunch. It's the opposite of an ab crunch. And then he's got these you fold his knees his 90 degrees, and then you're going to break his shins in half, and that's going to become the rear sections of the car. And then you just go ahead and sandwich his legs together like you've done with 1,000 other robots. And then his roof section has this extra panel that opens up, and that just becomes the whole rear of the car. And you just peg all that down, and there you can see how everything looks. And you can go ahead and just tab his arms into place to make the sides of the car. And then these shoulder stacks are just going to fold down, and his head is also going to fold down to the bottom of his car. So he doesn't have his toe key gimmick anymore. And then you can see you got this big gap here that's for the hood of the car to be put in. And then finally, you just go ahead and plug in his lance. And there you go. Very pleasing car mode. It does scale with metal card bot pretty well, so it is about the right size, and they look very good together. And I think the car mode still looks very good, even though the gold plastic definitely has taken a hit and turned into like a brownish plastic. And lastly, we have Silverhawk, and of course he still looks very good. He's got all of his paint apps. I can't really see if there's any paint apps missing from his original figure. He looks very similar. The silver plastic is still very nice and shiny and has that metallic kind of finish to it. So he actually ends up looking very good. This is one of my favorite Chinese Tobot figures, actually. He turned out very nicely, and you can see his head sculpt still has that detail with his cool black face, and then his eagle or his hawk kind of head crest. So everything's still looking really good with him. And he still has all the articulation of his original figure. They didn't really take anything out. He doesn't have a ball joint neck anymore. He does have swivel, but at least they gave him that. He does have these nice clicky spring joints. His backpack gets in the way, but he can articulate all the way. He's got this outward motion for transformation, but he's also got this outward motion also on a nice ratchet spring joint. And then he's got his elbow, which is a little less than 90 degrees. So like most of these figures, no bicep swivel. He does have a full outward kick, so universal hips, full forward kick, and then full backward kick, all of it on nice ratchets. You can just hear them. They feel very good. They sound very good. And then he's got 90 degrees on the knee. And then another nice addition is he does have, I guess, shin swivel, knee swivel. So you can get some cool just standing poses, especially because you can swivel his legs. So he actually looks a lot more natural. He doesn't just have like a zombie kind of appearance like all the other ones of these figures. So he actually looks very good just standing in place. And then he doesn't have any waist swivel, so that's probably the only thing that's really missing. His feet are kind of designed in a way that they don't really need ankle tilt because they're kind of narrow, so it actually doesn't matter that much. He can still hold his poses pretty well. So yeah, he does really good on the articulation department. Highly recommend this guy. He's a lot of fun. But transformation is very simple. You're just going to unfold the nose cone in his backpack here, and then you can just clip these wing pieces into the nose cone. And then you can point these arms straight up over his head using his chest articulation. To get those in place, you want the landing gear facing down. And then the kind of tricky part is his legs. So we can just fold the rest of his backpack here. His legs, his thighs are going to do this, and they don't go all the way flush. You need them to be clicked here. And then you point the toes out, and then you use that shin swivel, knee swivel to get these in the right place. And then you're going to collapse his backpack, and that will allow these legs to peg into place. So one more time. We just get that in place, and then we swivel his shin into place. And then there's his vehicle mode. It looks maybe a little bit stumpier than I remembered. I kind of remembered this being longer, but maybe not. He is missing his toe key, so this section looks very plain and missing something. He looks like he could carry a vehicle, but yeah, he is supposed to have tail fins right here. But because he doesn't have a toe key, you're going to miss out on that, which is a shame because he did look cool having his toe key plugged into his chest as well. So that is one downside of this Chinese version, is that you're not going to get those toe keys. But overall, I think this figure looks pretty good. He was also, both of these guys were $26 on AliExpress, which I think is a great price for this quality of figure. They did just come with these instructions because I didn't pay extra for the box to be shipped. But I highly recommend these, especially if you were curious about Tobot and they were just too expensive for you, or they were just too big for your collection, which was the issue for me. Yeah, I highly recommend them. And let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.